Hi everyone, my name is Tamsin Young and I'm with Eileen Gatsos. We are students of the third level with the Institute for Intuitive Intelligence with Ricky Jane, and today we're talking about spiritual leadership. So, right, Eileen, what does being a spiritual leader mean to you?
For me, it's about someone who holds space for you to feel vulnerable, to be able to let your true feelings and your fears be looked at with honesty, and you feel supported and that you're not alone in the process, and that that they lead by example. What they're telling you to do, they do themselves. It's not just you do this and I'll go and have a latte and sit by the beach and you do all the hard work. You know, they actually do the same work as you do. They do the hard yards and they lead by example, and they're inspiring. You see that they've walked the path before you, and you go, you know, and you hear their story and you think, hey, if they've gotten through that, then I can get through this too. So, yeah.
I think that's very true. It's very much a case of somebody walking their talk, somebody living a life following their soul in direct communion with God, that they're happy to, that they've got faith in themselves and with their connection to God, and that they can guide other people on the journey, not necessarily telling them what to do, because we're all here on our own journey and we all have our own things that we want to do in the way that we want to do it. So it's not a case of being a cookie cutter method of do everything that I do and your life will be perfect. It's a case of what is best for you, but being that inspiration for others. So very much so.
So Tamsin, for you, what has been the most or the most pivotal point for you that brought you on this spiritual path? What circumstances brought you to decide, hey, I want to be a spiritual leader, this is my calling? What was that for you?
Well, in all honesty, I don't think that there was a pivotal event. I think it's always been a knowing or a pulling from within in myself. It's something that I just know that I have to do. It doesn't matter how much I resist it, how much I go off the tracks. It's always there. It's always bringing me back. I'm always being guided into things that will help me on my path. And sometimes we can be incredibly stubborn with going on this path and not wanting to do the work, not wanting to step up. But there is just something within me that knows this is what I have to do. This is who I am. This is who I need to be. And even though I have people who I look to for guidance, there hasn't been anything specific that says, oh, I'd really like to be like them. It's just this. It's a knowing within me that this is what I'm here to do.
Yeah, I'm similar in that way. There's always been that inner knowing of there's something that I'm here to share, or there's something that it's that inner pull that's saying, no, this is the path that you need to take. Regardless of how many wrong turns you take, you are going to follow that path and you are going to find yourself on that path doing this work and helping others walk that same path with you. And like I said, it's always been there, always like in the background, and like I said, you find excuses along the way. Oh, no, I'm too busy. I've got to do this. No, who's going to listen to me? All those type of things.
You take the scenic journey instead of taking the direct route that you're supposed to. You take the scenic journey on the side, and you keep coming. The universe keeps bringing you back to the path, going, no, this is what you need to do.
I feel like for me, it's been like I'm on that scenic route, and every time I'm getting a street closer. Do you know what I mean? Every time I turn back, it's a street closer until eventually, okay, now I'm on that street.
Yeah.
Now I'm on that right path.
Yeah. And, sometimes we hit dead ends when we're going along, and that's when we realise, oh, okay, maybe I wasn't as clever as I thought with what I was doing and how I was tracking. I thought I was listening, but maybe not so much. So, it's definitely a case of you don't just get there. It's a continual journey. It doesn't matter how far along the track you are. You have to constantly, be vigilant of of yourself, your practices. It's daily devotional practices, and continually tuning in, because sometimes the work that you have to do as a spiritual leader evolves and changes over time as well. So it's not a case of, getting this download, this is what I have to teach, and this is what I'm going to do for the next 40 years. That can change as you go along, as you develop yourself, and as you grow yourself, you show others how to do what you've learned. You then move up to the next level, and they move up to where you are, and so it evolves. And so, yeah, we never get the blueprint of this is what you need to do between now and when you die in this lifetime. It's this is where you are now. You've got what you need to know. We'll let you know when you need to change, kind of thing. So it's constantly being open to others. So what are your non-negotiable spiritual practices that help keep you aligned on your journey?
For me, the heart coherence, where I just bring myself back into that space of gratitude and appreciation for everything, whether it just be my children, the sunshine, speaking to a fellow, sister on the path with me, a nice cup of tea, whatever that is, just having that gratitude and appreciation for every moment that I can take a breath, really. The other thing I have adopted this year is I journal every day, and whatever comes through, and it allows me to keep that connection with, for me, I use the word God, or the divine, and to keep that myself open and not edit or try and interpret what's coming through, just allowing myself to be that channel for whatever comes through. And for me, I found that's really helpful in getting to find my voice, which is what I believe I need in order to be a spiritual leader, to be able to do that. What else? And just trying to be present in every moment, regardless of what's happening, regardless of what's around me. I just to say, okay, I'm here, I'm right here. What can I do now? Try not to worry about the past, not worrying about the future, just worrying about this moment and this time. This is the only time that I can change something. So that's something I mean, look, I don't get it perfect most of the time, but some days it's like, okay, I get it. I know what I need to do. I'm going to get through this. And it's amazing when you do take that, when you do that. And I guess trying to learn something new or something deeper every day is something that's one of my things, just to try and keep going forward and keep going up. And for you?
It's I love, I think it's Rebecca Campbell's quote of double your devotion and halve your work. And I think that's so true in how your life flows that much better when you do regular devotional work. And it's also a case of remembering that your devotional work isn't something that's actually separate from you. It's not, I've got to do my meditation. Our life should actually be a meditation. I know we take time out and create sacred space and just sit there, talk to God, listen to God, whichever way. It's going to be a bit of prayer. Heart coherence is also one of my essentials. Heart coherence, meditation and prayer are my definitely non-negotiables. But yeah, just that whole thing of creating that whole space and that whole life from doing those practices. I mean, heart coherence can literally be done in every breath that you take, as you've said. If you are in the now, I mean, that's part of your meditation. Just keeping yourself connected to the infinite field out there with every breath that you do, because the other quote I love is, your feeling is the prayer. So however we're feeling, that is what we're going to be attracting back to us, our simple law of attraction rules. So yeah, the better that we can be, the more we can do on a moment by moment basis, the more we're going to improve our life. And you mentioned something about, the only thing that you can do is in the present time. And probably one of my favorite quotes from Louise Hay is, the point of power is in the present moment, because that's the only time you can change. You don't have to wait for a new day. You don't have to wait for a new year. You can choose a different feeling now. So you can be going through anger, frustration, whatever, and you can just stop yourself and go, hey, what do I want to do differently? Is this really the path that I want to choose? Okay, I don't have to go, oh, I got angry today. Well, that writes off today. I can change that now, and I can turn my day around right now if I choose to. And the more we practice these things, the more it gives us the opportunity to make those decisions in the moment as well.
Louise Hayes was one of the first books. Her You Can Heal Your Life was one of the first books I read. Gosh, how old was I? Probably in my 20s. That really made me aware of what being spiritual, truly spiritual, is about, and being in that moment, how you're in control of your thoughts, so you're in control of your life. Because being brought up in a Greek Orthodox family, very controlling, not having a say in a lot of things. When I read that book, it was like, I do have a say, and it's my say. No one else can change that. And for me, that was one of the points in my life where it opened me up to this path. Okay, it's taken me a long time to get where I am now, but that was one of the first times that I learnt that it's up to me.
Yeah.
It's up to me. No one else can do anything for me but me,
Yeah.
And
Absolutely. Yeah. That's, if you had to ask me what is my all-time favorite book, would probably be it. Not only from the information that she shares in the book, but the book itself. I don't know what version you've got, but the version I've got is each page has got pictures on it. It's got color in it. It's the most glorious book I have ever seen. It's just, it's not something that you can have as an ebook. Certainly not that version of it. I mean, the information in it is life-changing as well. But yeah, the actual pages that she uses, I just love the artwork that she has in her stuff. And, for me, anything that she's written is fantastic. And I think the other book that I would probably rate right up there is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. It's, it's such a simple story, but the principles of, often the treasure that you're seeking, it's actually the same story in The Acres of Diamond. The treasures that you're seeking are often right where you are. We think we have to travel to some special spiritual sacred site to find ourselves and all that. But, all the answers that we want are within. We have everything that we need within ourselves. Yes, it's great to be able to have somebody else to go to help us see beyond what we're not seeing, because sometimes we get so stuck in our stories. But we have everything we need. So, yeah.
Yeah, I also remember reading, I don't know if you ever read The Celestine Prophecy. That was another one with Dan Millman's books. They were quite, again, just a transformational of the mind. And because I love story, that was a really good for me to learn that as well, to learn from those books, because it was a story and it engaged me. And at the time, that's how I liked to do. So I found those quite that. And, there's just so many books that are so inspirational. It's just,
You just have to look at my bookshelf to know that, or my ebook, my Kindle, and how many I've got on there.
And how many that I need to read as well. It's like, no.
It's and the bottom line is the principles are all the same in all of them, but it's always good reading from a different perspective. And sometimes somebody will put something in there that it's that extra little bit of information that just helps you assimilate another bit of information. Yes. And it's also all just that repetition of going, okay, yes, that's it, and keeping you on track. It's I can't think of the guy at the moment. It's one of those personal development speakers that will come to me.
Tony Robbins?
No, he's a much older guy. Talking about, people talking about like affirmations and talking positively and saying, but why do you have to do it every day, kind of thing? And he's going, well, you bath every day, so why wouldn't you do the positive reinforcement of things? And that's what reading these spiritual books does. It's just that reinforcement, bringing you back in line. I mean, there's a lot of books that you could read over and over again. I mean, Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life, you could read over and over again, and each time you would learn something more. You'd think, I don't remember reading this the last time. But as you evolve, you get a better understanding of things, and sometimes now isn't the right time for you to deal with an issue. It's she always refers to life as like being an onion, peeling the layers of an onion, and you know, you're getting closer and closer to the core. Sometimes you can only deal with so much at a time, so you deal with that layer, and it's like, oh, okay, we've got rid of those fears, and right, let's move to the next layer. And as you grow and evolve and you can handle more, you can deal with the next layer of whatever it is that you need to work with. Because I always remember thinking, jeepers, after 30 or 40 years of doing this work, she was still working on herself. And I'm thinking, well, if she's still working on herself after 40 years, I've probably got a lot of stuff that I still need to deal with.
That's the thing. It's being a spiritual leader means you are constantly evolving, and you're constantly learning, and you're constantly reinterpreting almost how you live each day, because you can't know everything. And so it's not possible. It's just too much information out there. And as a spiritual leader, if you just stop learning, then you can't teach anymore. You can't be a spiritual leader. So you need to continue that process of working on yourself and learning new things and saying, oh my God, that is perfect. That's going to help me do this. And then you realise, hold on, it can help other people too. So it's that evolution, constant evolution of your ability to lead and be a spiritual leader. But at the end of the day, like we said, you're doing it first for you, and then you are able to lead by example, to do that work, and so others will say, oh my gosh, look at her, she got through this, she did this. Possible. And maybe if that's not possible, she might lead me on a road to something else, you know, because you know, when you're a spiritual leader, you're there to give what you've got, and people will take what they need and leave and do their own thing, or they will stay for a while, or they may stay for a lifetime. But it's not about you. It's about what they need and how you can help them. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a stepping stone to your next level. So like with the books, there'll be some that you keep coming back to, and others you'll read once, take what you need, and then never revisit it again. So it's so what's been the most transformational event that has changed your life?
I guess for me, first of all, when I was at uni, I got really sick, and I ended up getting chronic fatigue. Didn't know what it was, but I couldn't stop. I couldn't eat anything. I was literally living on peas and some sort of bread, and I was emaciated. It wasn't pretty, and that's when I came across Louise Hay's and her How You Can Heal Your Own Life, and I went along the path of, you know, looking after me, doing your your vitamins and all that sort of stuff, and eating healthy and rebuilding myself. And again, then having children was the next pivotal point for me, really, because my oldest son has autism, and having to step up to be his voice and his advocate, and to help him to get what he needed, meant I had to get over my own mindward shit, you know, and don't worry about me worrying about looking like a fool or asking for what I needed or any of those sort of things, because that's something I never did a lot of. You know, I just kept quiet and did the right thing, and made everyone happy around me. But with him, I had to go up against teachers and say, well, hey, you're not giving him what he needs. He needs this. No, I think he's got, because it was misdiagnosed as early as having something else, and I had to fight to get the right diagnosis for him. So that was when I sort of started to develop my voice and my ability to go, to let go of my own thing, to get out of my own way, my own thoughts, my own negativity, in order to do what needs to be done, because he couldn't do it. And my other son also has a few things like dyslexia and dysgraphia. So again, but because I was able to find my inner strength and my voice, and also it was that surrendering to the fact that this is the way it is. Yes, my son has an issue, but that's him, and there's nothing wrong with him. It's a thing. A lot of the time I found people would think there was something wrong with him because he has autism. I had to keep saying to them, no, there's nothing wrong with him. He just is different. He thinks differently. His mind functions differently to yours. It might not fit what you think is normal, but he's perfect the way he is. And having to continue to reaffirm that for him sort of helped me to let go of those expectations and surrender to the fact that this is the situation. There is nothing wrong with it, and to be the strength that he needs. And by doing that, it allowed me to find more strength in myself and find my own connection to my own inner power, my own inner process.
Yeah, it's that whole realizing that people are different. I mean, even people who don't have autism, we're all different in our own way, and that whole accepting of people as they are. And as you said, you're perfect the way that you are. It's embracing those differences, and in fact celebrating those differences that people have, because we're so quick to try and fit everybody into the same box, and this is the way it's done, this is the way we've done it for the last however many years. Why do you have to go and rock the boat, Why can't you just fit in and do what we've been doing all this time? And motherhood is a wonderful training ground for a lot of things.
It is, and especially it's for that, like I said, getting out of your own way and saying, well, this needs to be done, and this is not the right thing to do in this situation, and having the courage to do what needs to be done without worrying about what other people are going to think about you, all those sort of things, and knowing that that there's support there for you, because it's like with my son he did ATAR last year, and because he's also got a panic anxiety disorder, they wanted to take him out of the school and put him into a different place where people with extra time go, and I said he can't do that. He can't. He'll just fail because he can't cope with that change. And so I had to step up again and get my, and find that inner strength and fight, basically, and they allowed him to sit his exams at the school. So those sort of situations, those, like you said, the training grounds to say, you have the strength inside you to do what you need to be doing. You don't need to worry what other people think. You've got to do what needs to be done. And if you are totally and utterly committed to, or you know that what you're doing is correct and it's not harming anyone, it's not doing anything wrong, then do what you're called to do, sort of thing. So having a son or children, they bring up so many. They're such great mirrors. They're such great mirrors. Oh, goodness
me, yeah. I always think of them as my greatest teachers. It's we homeschooled our children, and I always think I'm the one who got the education, not my children. It opened my eyes so much to learning and how we learn, how I learn. And you talk about people being different. When your children don't learn the way that you learn, and you discover that when you're trying to teach them, and you're thinking, well, why can't they see that? I mean, it's as logical as anything. And you realize, okay, there's all these different learning styles. Okay, and there's information that we share in school and that you learn, which is just like stuff. But then there's all these other rich things that you learn from it, the life experience side of it. And I suppose that's being a spiritual leader as well. It's you can have all this knowledge and stuff, but that's not really what it's about. It's all that other changes and that personality, personal connection that you're looking at with it. So it's children are the most fantastic teachers. I mean, we can talk about spiritual teachers and how they impact on us, but I think our children probably surpass anybody else with what we learned from them.
Especially their resilience, their ability to cope with whatever's thrown at them. And also, I mean, as they get older, it's a little bit different, but how non-judgmental they are, you know, majority of the time, you know. I'm really blessed. My kids are really good. They're not judgmental or anything like that, so it's wonderful. So, you know, the acceptance that they have, it's just amazing. And you sit there going, what have I been? Okay, I get it. All right, let it go. Surrender. Don't need that anymore. Don't need that.
I think also their innocence and their trust, because they don't look at things with the same fearful approach that we do of everything that can go wrong. They just look at it, the curiosity that they have, the adventure. It's something new to learn about. I wonder what this is. Let's go and do this. You know, and they'll poke at things and they'll play with things and they'll experiment, and it doesn't worry them. They don't worry about hurting themselves physically. It's only us running around going, be careful this, don't do this, don't do that. And then they start getting, I can't do anything. I can't move out of this space or whatever. So it's very difficult not to put your own fears onto your children. But we can learn so much from them. They really, I'd say they're probably my greatest spiritual teachers, and teachers in so many other things as well. So,
Okay. I guess I'm just trying to think. What's the best advice that you've ever received along this path?
I'd probably say being true to yourself and knowing that whatever path you're on, that is right for you. And knowing that when you're teaching other people, that I think I mentioned it earlier, that there is no cookie cutter method. You can't just go, okay, this is the way you need to do steps 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in that order. And if you do this, then you'll get this result. And I think in the world that we're in, I'm very much a logical person. And for me, working more now with my intuition has been quite a challenge, and to trust that, because we're not encouraged to do that. And I think that is where going back to the way we used to be, bringing back the feminine aspects and the way that the involvement that women had in, I call it a village, that it wasn't just run by the men, it was actually the men and the women in partnership, not one being stronger, more powerful than the other, whether physically ruling or, whichever way it is, but seeing people for who they are, seeing what their strengths are, bringing out the best in them, and appreciating the fact that we are all individuals. We have a lot of similarities. There are a lot of patterns that people will follow, but there is no cookie. Even though there may be patterns, it doesn't mean that the pattern that you're exhibiting, just because it's the same as Susie over there, it doesn't mean that you're going to have to follow the same recipe to solve your issues that she may be doing. So you can't make the assumptions that what worked for her will work for you, because there's so many other components to it. So it's being able to tune into yourself and listen, is this right for me? Even though it might have worked for every single other person in the situation, maybe I'm that 1% person who has to do it differently, and being willing to try it and give it a go.
Is that idea for a zone of genius? That's one thing that is really, because like back in the village, at times, and the times when men and women, men, they were the hunters and they went out, but the women also, they did their thing, and everyone had they knew everyone's role, and this is what I'm good at and this is what I do. But that's changed a lot. And I guess for me, the idea of zone of genius is one of those things as well, because I think, I'm trying to do everything half-assed because, you're too, you think you need to do everything, you need to be in control of everything. When you go, well, hey, I don't know how to create a spreadsheet that works.
Yeah.
I could spend 2 years trying to learn how to do that. Or I can go somewhere and go say to my husband, and he'll do it in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because he understands it. And so that's been a great sort of, it sounds simple, but it's really a important thing to know, what are you good at? Focus on that. What you're not good at, if you need to, give it a try. But when you know it's not what you're good at, give it to someone else who's good at it.
Be willing to ask for help.
Yeah. And you can use your time in the best way to do what you know how to do, and that way you can help more people. So it's that idea. I guess for me, one other thing is, like I said it before, is like the idea of getting out of your own way, saying, okay, put that aside. This is what is happening now. It doesn't matter what my ego's telling me, what fears are coming up. They're not real. They're not important. Put them aside and just focus on that moment, doing what you need to do. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So, in conclusion, what is your superpower that you share with the world as a spiritual leader?
I've only just sort of come to that realisation, and I still have a little bit of hesitation saying it, but that's my own ego playing its little saboteur role. I would call myself a divine messenger. That's how I feel, because I've always felt a connection to God, and to be able to bring messages through, and it's always been there in my life, from the moment I can remember. But I'm actually beginning to honour that now, and really accept that is just who I am, and I've talked about the idea of voice, just finding my voice now, and how to now be that messenger and not hold those things back anymore, and just allow it to flow through. Because again, get out of my own way. It's not about me. Do you know? Yeah. And what about you? What's your superpower?
Probably bringing a sense of serenity to situations that I have a certain calmness about me. I'm not what I'd call a Tony Robbins, rah, 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 and go out there. And that's, we mentioned Louise Hay earlier on, and she was probably my number one inspirational person. Her whole demeanour and manner, I just love that, the way that she acts and acted since she's passed on. So yeah, it's a sense of serenity and having very good boundaries, that I don't take on other people's emotional trauma. I can keep my distance from that while still being compassionate for them and being able to listen to them, but I don't have to actually take on the whole thing and be emotionally involved with it. So yeah, to me, it sort of allows that almost objectivity of a situation. It almost has a feeling of being detached, and it's not unfeelingly detached, but it's just that looking at it from a different perspective than other people might see it from, because I don't have that attachment to the story that they have. And hopefully with my serenity that can help bring a sense of peace and calm to the other people. So yeah.
I guess listening to you, I also think one of my other abilities as well is that idea of being able to take away people's fear or pain or that, in a sense that I can just it's just to be able to bring that calmness, so they can just take that breath that they need to take and get back into the present moment and go, all right. And then, and for people to walk away feeling better just for being with you. Do you know, like that serenity that you said,
It's like giving them that space, giving them that permission to go, okay, I can relax into this space. I don't have to be wherever. I can let go. I feel safe enough to let go, and I can be present as well.
Yeah, you definitely have a very calming, peaceful nature, and it's lovely.
Thank you. Well, thank you for joining me today, Eileen. And that sums up our talk about spiritual leadership.
Thank you too. Appreciated it. Wonderful.